Welcome. I'm so glad you joined us here today. This channel is where we can connect and share our stories. Well, I'd just like you to meet my friend, Robin. Thanks so much for joining me today, Robin.
Thank you, Linda. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
It is. And you have a good Christmas story for us. So where would you like to start with that?
Let's see. I'm not proud to say that I'm 62, or I'm not shy to say rather that I'm 62.
Age
And
doesn't matter at all. It really
no,
doesn't.
and I would say for at least 40 to 50 years of that, Christmas was the worst time of year.
Okay.
My father passed away when I was adopted when I was a baby, an infant, and my parents were in their 40s. So I was the idol of their eye. Everything revolved around Robin. I guess that could be good, as my husband says, she likes to get her way. So sometimes it could be not so good. But Christmas was so special for them, and they would go above and beyond. I remember my dad having a little pink phone next to my bed and one next to the tree, and he would call me on Christmas morning and say, "Honey, come and see what we have for you." And of course, loaded with presents and good times and great family memories.
Yeah.
Well, then my dad passed away when I was 10
Okay.
on
So,
December 3rd.
oh, that's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Oh, I'm sorry
so,
about that. That's hard then.
yeah, and that was when I was 10, so 52 years ago. And um in those days, Italian families had services, funerals for 3 days. So it was in the afternoon, in the nighttime, and for 3 days, all I remember was sitting looking at that coffin with my dad in there. And so when Christmas came around, I just despised Christmas. As I got older in my teenage years, my mom tried to overcompensate and just buy me more gifts, which obviously didn't fill the void of missing my dad. And at that point in my life, I did not have Jesus. So as I got older, I had a baby, and I thought, well, now I'm going to really enjoy Christmas. And it was still the same turmoil. I did the things that I needed to for his sake, but nobody saw the turmoil and inner disaster that would go on uh, from the beginning of December until after New Year's.
That
And so I know that a lot of people get so stressed out over the holidays.
yeah,
And
and with no matter when we lose somebody, December seems to magnify that loss.
mhm,
Especially like you said, it was your dad in December. That's tough. Um, but anytime there's an empty chair, and there's just the memories of when the people were there, and then there's the memory of they're not, and how do we do that, and how do we celebrate when we're missing someone else? And that's just hard.
yeah.
And as a child, it's really difficult to know how to do it. We don't grieve well, and we don't necessarily talk about it. So for a child, it would be very difficult.
Right. And so over the years, then, I'm in my 40s and I meet my husband, and he had two small children. So I really had to go through the hoops. But prior to that, I would pay people to do my Christmas shopping just so I didn't have to do it. I
Wow.
just wanted no part of Christmas, but I knew I had to provide, get gifts. So then when I met Rick, things got a little bit better because he loves Christmas. In December, we would read the book of Luke, starting at the first chapter and go
Yeah.
through to the Christmas story on Christmas Eve. And you know, we tried to make the best of it, but that's also when I struggled with my worst period of addiction. And so I
Oh,
just medicated for most every December I could remember,
okay.
um, until I got help and set free. But it really wasn't until about 5 years ago even knowing Jesus, I was still miserable. There was no peace, joy, and righteousness. It was hurry up, let's get this over, I'm done. And now I am just so excited. As you can see, we're in our new cottage. We have our tree up. I have my nativity, and I'm just so filled with joy. I
Yeah.
love going to get special things. My husband and I are pastors of Total Freedom, and we're an addictions recovery center for men. And so they come here for 9 months. And a lot of these guys, they can't remember when they celebrated Christmas last. And I've talked to many people throughout the years in Total Freedom. Some of them never even received a gift for Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not about material things. The best gift we could give is love. And so I'm
Yes.
so excited on Christmas morning. I'm gonna cook a special breakfast and have all the guys over here and just love on them like never before, like they've never had, and really show what the season is all about. Jesus. It's not about Santa Claus or presents or shopping or stress or getting in debt. It's all about Jesus. And he gives such a joy that I can't even explain it. I feel like it bubbling and wanting to burst on the inside. And to think that 10 years ago, I would never have been having this conversation with you. You would have
It's,
said, what's your Christmas story? I would have told you there is none. I don't want to hear it.
really, when we're giving gifts, like we look for items that we hope will make the person happy. When really what will make people happy is to know that they're loved. That's what makes people happy.
Absolutely. And especially people, not only people in addiction, but a lot of people, they
Oh,
struggle with rejection,
yeah,
they
lots of.
struggle with abandonment,
Mhm.
and they feel unloved and they don't even know who they are. And so once we know who we are and whose we are, and we receive the love of Jesus that could compare to nothing, then we can really walk in the spirit of Christmas and love and joy and hope.
Yeah.
And I know that this time there's so many people hurting.
Yeah, there, I mean, there's the addiction issues, of course, there's that. But there's also the grieving of a loss, loss of a family where, there's been divorce this year, or people have moved and they don't know the people in their new city. There's all kinds of reasons that just make the season difficult. So it's an opportunity to give the gift of love to just,
Absolutely.
just to the people in the store, the people that we meet at work or wherever.
And a story that happened recently, talk about grief. So I lost my son in 2017 to a drug overdose. And
Oh,
the
I'm
Lord
sorry.
has just given me peace and comfort in knowing that he accepted the Lord and he's with Jesus. And so I have an overwhelming peace. There's no grief, there's no sorrow. Of course, I miss him because I love him. He was my only child. But there's a joy when I speak about him. I don't tear up and get
Yeah,
upset. It's
yeah.
peaceful. My dad, however, it wasn't until about 5 or 6 months ago that someone happened to stop here and wanted to see what we do here. And him and his the other person he was with, they said, can we pray for you? This is an awesome place. And so while he was praying for me, he kept talking about healing of trauma. And so when he left, I really got into the word and into prayer. And I realized that I had traumatic grief from my father's death that I had never dealt with.
Oh, as a child, of course, yes. Yeah,
And then I just stuffed it so I didn't have to deal with it and
yeah,
never wanted to get that healing. So through that man who just came here off the highway, the Lord really, really brought a healing and a deep inner peace that even now I'm able to have this conversation. I don't know if I could have done it last year. I
yeah,
would have got very choked up, but I have a peace and knowing that, God heals. Death is a part of life. We're
Yeah.
all born and we're all going to die.
Yep.
We can't avoid that. And so learning how to deal with that and accept it, it's definitely difficult. It's harder for some than others. But when you have Jesus and he gives you that comfort and that peace, then he takes away all the sadness, all the hurts, all the tears, and he replaces your mourning with joy.
Yes. And so the men in your program, they're going to get a beautiful Christmas as a
Yes,
gift,
they are.
and just a sacrificial love that you're able to pour onto them.
Absolutely.
That's beautiful. That's the best gift there is.
Yeah, one of my friends talked to me recently, and I was telling her about what I was buying the guys, and I asked them for a wish list of little things that they would like. I'm like, I'm so excited to wrap it up and put it under the tree. She goes, "Is this the same Robin I know? Because that Robin would have never wanted to do that."
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
They're
the best gift we could give is love.
yes, it is. Yes, it is. And by doing what you're doing, you're creating new memories that they can carry forward.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks so much for sharing your story, Robin. It's an encouragement to everybody. Often we are stuck, and just to know that there is a way out, and the season will get better.
Absolutely.
It's changing our perspective and looking outwards often. But yeah. Thanks again for sharing. And
Thank you so much for having me. And I wish everyone a Merry, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
thank you. You too. Thank you.